is the new focus. But the big problem the MSMEs face, Rahul, is one, that a large number, 70% of them are not even registered with the government. The government doesn't know about their existence.
Okay. So despite...
There's a big blind spot in government policy there.
Despite the massive 10,000 crore allocations
Correct.
for MSME...
for an equity fund.
Yes.
For an equity fund.
Okay. So
what we needed, we need is the expansion of SIDBI. Okay. The Small Industries Development Bank of India could be expanded and capitalized in a massive way.
So you differ with the methodology, you welcome the allocation, differ with the way it should have been. Okay, yes, dispersed,
In my view, budget is very sensible in maintaining the big budgetary balance, but it will not do either great good for the growth or the redistribution, or it will also not do a great harm. FM has learned the lessons very well. If you look at the two numbers which have come up now, on the income tax front, we lost 1.4 lakh crore. And on the GST, again there is 1.3 lakh crore loss from the projection of the last year. This was the two big tax giveaways, and therefore she has decided not to do any more of that kind of adventure this time. So that's very, very good. On the capex front, again, I think it's a very sensible choice to limit it to 9% only, not to the level of even the normal GDP growth, or just about that. It's also interesting to see that there is some amount of internal readjustment happening there. So you have data centers being emphasized, you have service-led growth being emphasized, but I think the bulk of the outlay still is on railways and roads. So good budget balance, but I don't think it's going to make any great difference to the national.
So Rahul, avoiding the middle income trap essentially means that you got to raise your rate of growth from about 6-7% to about 8%.
8%, yes.
And for 8%, you need a capital investment. Let's say if the ICOR is about 4 or something, you need at least 32-33%, capital to GDP ratio. So now for that, what has she done? So I think there's some things that have been done, and I therefore credit the budget with making an effort on that. One, I think she's made it much simpler for the NRIs to bring in equity here, to sell their property out here, etc. Then they've got also the other things on several things on the foreigners bringing in. So that's made it attractive for the FDI to come along. And for the domestic investor, she's got a whole slew of announcements on the manufacturing sector, whether it's a semiconductor mission or in the biopharma, or is the integrated textile package with 5, the tourism package that she's talked about, and these are all employment intensive, then the 10,000 crore equity fund for the MSMEs. So I think all of that put together, plus by the way, I'm very pleased with the agricultural sector focus.
So you're talking about VG, the VB Gram G bill, allocation increasing by 10,000.
That's one thing, but I'm talking more about the coastal food product that she's talked about, the coconut, the cashews, and bringing them about, the fisheries, that's taken.
Right.
So I think
another big headline coming through, and you can see it up there on your wall, is that the defense budget is higher in rupee terms.
By 4%.
Defense spending rises to 68 lakh crores. Defense budget higher there. And that's 6 lakhs crore, and that's very big. That's really big, viewers.
5 lakh.
So this is how would you see
but
this?
No, but not a very significant increase, because
your increase in the revised budget.
Already.
And then there is a further increase.
No, but when you look at the expenditure that we may have incurred on Op Sindoor,
so that is accounted for.
That's accounted for.
But despite that,
it's not a very big jump actually.
Okay, you don't think it's a big jump?
It's not a big one.
Right.
There is a reasonable jump.
It's a reasonable jump. We can obviously, but this is an important thing to sort of square up. Yes, look, I have to ask you this question because you were quite vocal on ensuring that industry gets that push so that our exports can penetrate all these markets through quality and pricing and all sorts of other things. There you can see the defense budget confirmation there growing. So, Saket, Do you think this budget does that?
So I'll start with
And the ease of doing business. Sorry.
I'll start with the positive. I think the ease of doing business has certainly helped out a lot.
Right. How? Explain yourself.
Just the tax benefits and allowing a lot of the grandfathering and safe haven clauses, etc. So I think some of the ease of business has done well. Industry-wise, what I had hoped for was future industries being given an investment. I think that's a complete tick.
So AI and data centers,
AI, data
etc.
center.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of data center. I'll be very frank. I don't think it generates employment or technology. But anyway, but I do think that that complex of biopharma, everything gets us closer to where we want it to be, as we discussed that day.
Okay.
I think the university townships is exactly what we talked about this morning, that we are spending $3 billion a year sending money outside. So if we can get these Harvard kind of places in India, it's a great thing. I just have two quibbles with the budget. One is that I genuinely believe that PM Modi's vision is a bit bigger than what this budget is getting us to based on President first. So I would have gone for ensuring effectiveness in terms of funding, where we are funding and maybe reducing some of the inefficient schemes and making slightly bigger bets on high-tech areas. I think AI needed a bigger bet.
Okay.
I do think biotech research and some sort of reform in terms of what can be done deserves a bigger bet. And I would have liked more disinvestment, to be honest.
Okay, more disinvestment. Okay, I'll just come out to you. We've got two people waiting for us on the link, and I just want to go straight across to them. CA Nisha Dhanuka, co-founder, QuinFin Consulting Private Limited, and Klisman Murati, Managing Director of Pareto Economics. Both of them joining us on the link. So let me just go across first to them. CA Nisha Dhanuka, how do you look at this? Do you believe that this is a budget that is going to, do the very important job of guardrailing India from that disruption that we have seen globally? Number one. Number two, will it make our exports more competitive? Number three, will it generate employment and therefore allow us to also have green shoots in consumption, which is what we need, and boost therefore a degree of demand?
Thanks. I would like to, three words for the budget: growth, inclusion, and stability. Now, coming to your first point in context of guarding India from the world, we don't need to guard India. We need to integrate India. If you see, there are a lot of impetus given on export incentives. There is lot of focus on making India a manufacturing hub. And just not manufacturing hub in terms of setting up factories or setting up infrastructure. It is also looking into the future in terms of the future looks is very tech enabled. So if you see, our finance minister has, for every industry that she spoke about, she also spoke simultaneously a skilling center to be set up for that. Funding to be done to make that skilling center for the youth. And also making it accessible, setting up more and more skilling centers. So I feel we as Indian are ready not to be guarded, but to get integrated with the world, with the kind of boost that we are looking at the economy. Secondly, you spoke about employment. Of course, if you really see, the entire focus of budget is on skilling and creating more and more job opportunities. In fact, this is one budget where I would say our finance minister kept all the stakeholders in view, from students to young professionals, to MSMEs, to large corporates, to specially abled, to farmers, to artisans. Overall, a very, very positive budget from the job perspective and the employment perspective.
Okay, Klisman Murati, will this budget create conditions to attract investment? That's the conversation we had a few days back. Do you see this budget, therefore, taking that ball forward?
Yeah, Rahul, thanks for the question. Look, what's obvious from any budget release from any part of the world is that you're not going to make everyone pleased from it. What we have to realize is that governments have limited resources and need to deploy capital for immediate needs, midterm needs, and long-term needs. So naturally, there's going to have to be sacrifices that have to be made, and there have to be an idea of what is necessary now and relate that to what's necessary in the future. So what India is betting on are two things, I think. The first one is that the world will continue to be uncertain, right? And the second thing they're betting on is that they need to rely on their own manufacturing capabilities to de-risk themselves from these externalities and these risks. So with these things in play continually, they need to pick. They need to be able to pick industries which have the need to be resilient for manufacturing, semiconductors, the supply chain as it relates to technology, and also investing in industries which don't require high tech but require industrial input, right? Which is why manufacturing, which is why things like connectivity is so important, to connect regions with themselves within India, intra-Indian trade corridors and travel corridors. This, as a result, should increase employment. This also should increase GDP. This also should reduce the fiscal deficit of the country, if done correctly. Naturally, what they can control is the policies they put into place. What they can't control is how businesses will respond to this. And what they can control to a limited ability is the macro picture, which India, I think, is playing a much smarter role than many other countries in the region and also globally.
Well, thanks, Crispin Urati, for that. Viewers, in a world where sovereignty is stressed and diplomacy is being increasingly weaponized, we're seeing an allocation under several different heads, the defense side. So we are seeing a 21% rise in defense capital expenditure and an 8-fold increase in intelligence gathering capacity. So you are putting money to boost intelligence, and this can only be correlated to what we're seeing around us and obviously the hangover of the Op Sindoor, which was an operation that pulled us into a 4-day conflict, 4-day war, so to speak, with Pakistan, an undeclared war, but nonetheless it was a conflict, viewers, on any scale. So here is an attempt there. And I want to bring in Saket Mishra. This is a very, very crucial aspect of this budget. Yes, we may not be impressed by the huge numbers, but look at the focus. Intel Bureau gets a 8-fold increase in its budgetary support. That is an important aspect of what we're looking at in a modern scenario, where, as I said, diplomacy is so weaponized today.
Yeah.
Saket Mishra.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, I think it's a fantastic move. It's obviously required for national security, but I think what this does is people like Intelligence Bureau, like Defense, actually use the most modern technology. The IDX program has been an immense success for the government in terms of new talent coming in, doing research, problem solving for our defense sector. So I think not only does this actually improve our national security, but I think not only indirect, I think it's direct. It's a fantastic way to get to cutting edge solutions and giving opportunities to our young guys, especially young researchers, to provide solutions to help us. So, I mean, I think it's a brilliant, brilliant move.
But we've got to stay ahead, viewers, of those around us. And you know that the neighborhood is hostile. There are security challenges. Yes, Nirupma, you wanted to make a point on some of these issues. And let's just queue up from here, because this is the first thing that's staring us in the face. Yeah.
No, so the defense,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So defense has actually gone up in interesting places. As you said, capital expenditure, so even whatever rise there is, that's gone up. The spend on R&D is also gone up, which is also very good. So that makes a lot of sense for us, given what we want to do. And I think that's a great thing. But
I feel that this budget is a very focused. So in certain areas and sectors, there have been interventions. And I think, so that's why you're not getting this sense of a grand headline, which really is resilience, but you have to really shape that argument by looking at micro numbers.
So agreed. I think some 3 or 4 very specific. I think what they've done for e-commerce exports is very big by removing the courier limit of 10 lakhs, because that opens the e-commerce exports of high value exports, especially in kind of textiles and gems and jewelry, direct B2C. That is brilliant. Then I think the focus on Ayurveda is interesting to see where it comes to to kind of bring it more into mainstream. The REITs and InvITs for government property and as a way to kind of monetize it is also very, very good. And geriatric care at least has found mention this time. I think this is going to become a focus area in, upcoming years. In terms of where I think maybe we needed where I would have liked a little more conversation is actually in terms of nothing on disinvestment, as Saket said. I wish there was something more there. And in terms of nothing for the gems and jewelry sector, which was one of the largest affected sectors by the tariffs, even though leather and apparels found mention. In the entire conversation on pollution, environment, green financing, green FDI, none of that is there. Great news on tourism, lots that's done for tourism, but again, the problem is we're not focusing on how we're going to attract foreign tourists in, which is where your forex is going to come in. So somewhere we haven't really kind of still managed to differentiate between encouraging domestic tourism, which is great, but foreign tourism, which is where we're going to get our money and foreign exchange from. The other thing is within financial sector, there's another committee being set up, of course, for banking sector reforms with a focus also for NBFCs. However, and for Viksit Bharat, but however, I think one of the constant feedback that has happened within the financial sector is we tend to rely more on banking sector to kind of fund any kind of growth that is there, and we need more diversified sources. And I hope that happens, because otherwise it becomes more and more difficult for your banking sector.
Okay. 20,000 guides, for instance, in tourism is a massive, massive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, that is one very quick way of building jobs, and unfortunately that still requires not such high skilling, so they're still low skill jobs, more or less, but nonetheless, it's a great employment area, and that's perhaps something that the government is now beginning to cotton on to. Whether it's enough, whether it is targeted at the right, we can of course discuss that. We'll take a very short break. We're right back, viewers. Stay with us.
This is News
on
18.
biogas blended CNG, civil and defense aviation. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on components and parts required for the manufacture of civilian, training and other aircrafts. It is proposed dedicated freight corridors connecting Dankuni in the east to Surat in the west. Operationalize 20 new national waterways over the next 5 years, starting with National Waterways 5 in Orissa to connect mineral-rich areas of Talcher and Angul and industrial centers like Kalinga Nagar to the ports of Paradeep and Dhamra. Training institutes will be set up as regional centers of excellence for development of required manpower for these waterways. This will benefit youth in the entire stretch of the waterways to train and acquire skills. Further, a ship repair ecosystem catering to inland waterways will also be set up at Varanasi and Patna. And C, launch a coastal cargo promotion scheme for incentivizing a modal shift from rail to road to increase the share of inland waterways and coastal shipping from 6% to 12% by 2047. To enhance last mile and remote connectivity and promote tourism, I propose to give incentives to indigenize manufacturing of seaplanes. A seaplane VGF scheme will be
Welcome back to our continued coverage of Budget 2026. We called it Reforms Reloaded. FM Nirmala Sitharaman is talking about Resilience Reloaded, viewers. How is it that we can insulate the Indian economy, and I don't mean it in a physical sense, but I mean it in a notional sense, from the trade winds, the nasty trade winds that blow out of DC from time to time, viewers? how is it that we are going to ensure that the economy remains on track in disruption and during times as stressed as the ones we are in? Fundamentally, 4 or 5 steps have been taken by the Finance Minister to do this. And these steps, it is quite clear, viewers, will to some extent bring about resilience and stability, which is what we require as of now. But will they lead to the larger, important, and not just incremental but exponential jumps that we require to take, A, in the ease of doing business, B, in ensuring greater investment, C, in creating employment? Those are open questions. And we are joined by J.N. Mehta, MD of Amul. And I'm going to go straight across to him. Your sector, from that perspective, really falls under, in today's context, a very vital part of our economy that is also, of course, in a lot of conversations, sir, given the fact that we are engaging in some high-end and very, very, as you know, structured conversations with foreign and global blocs, trading blocs, including the United States. So, first of all, from a sectoral point of view, what does the budget mean for you? And then, of course, we'll have a quick take from you on the overall the trajectory of this budget and what it attains to do.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the dairy sector and the cooperative sector, I would like to thank Honorable Finance Minister for a very, very futuristic and a visionary budget, touching almost every single member of the cooperative society. Amul has 3.6 million farmers, and I'll talk about how it benefits them through this budget. There was a taxation on the dividend income that we used to pass on as a part of the Amul model. We have 3-tier structure. So the surplus of GCMMF, the Marketing Federation, were passed on to the district union in form of dividends of their investment, and all the villages invest into a district union and they used to get benefit of that dividend income.
Okay.
Now, in the new scheme of things, the double taxation has been removed, as a result of which it will benefit every single farmer of the state of Gujarat and all cooperatives across the country. So this has been one major benefit we have got as a part of this budget, and we are thankful to Honorable Finance Minister for that. Second, we sell a lot of cattle feed, and cattle feed is produced by us only. And the income of cattle feed also has now been treated as a part of the income of milk, which is supplied by the farmers to the farmers, as a result of which that's also a big benefit and also simplification in the accounts of our village cooperative societies, and thereby supporting each of the farmers. Apart from that, the government has recognized the importance of this sector, and when they talk about setting up of colleges to produce 20,000 veterinarians, itself is a very, very significant step in improving the presence of veterinary doctors who support our farmers and the cattle in the villages of the country. For Gujarat, I can tell that we have at the moment 2,200 veterinary doctors, both of the state government and the district cooperative societies, unions, serving our farmers across 18,000 villages. And as we move to White Revolution 2.0 across the country, this will provide a major, major fillip. The budget of our ministry, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, has actually doubled in last 2 years. So that itself is a significant step. And also the cooperative ministry, the newly formed cooperative ministry also has been working to strengthen the sector. So apart from the support given to NCDC in the last budget, which continues, the newly formed export cooperative, the National Cooperative Exports Limited, also has got in about 450 crore rupees as support to build exports of Indian dairy products globally. There are many such initiatives, but really it's a very visionary step in the right direction. Continuing from what she started in the last budget, when the income tax exemptions increased the purchasing power, the GST the government had, and now this.
Well, there are many stories coming out from different sectors, viewers such as these. So there are, as I said, very targeted interventions. But I want to bring in Tuhin Sinha to get a sense really of this budget from the political perspective, because some of your opposition and your critics have already said that this budget really has nothing. Just look at the way the Sensex has reacted.